Welcome back, everyone, to the FloTrack podcast. FloTrackPodcast@gmail.com is our email address. I'm Kevin. He's Gordon. Recording this on a Thursday, final show of the week. We went Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week. And next week's going to be a weird schedule, too, because of NCAAs. Gordon, you want to run through that again? What's our recording schedule look like for the folks next week?
So next week we are going to be doing a bunch of pods. It starts getting crazy, I can tell you that. First I can say is this is the last pod I'm going to do in this pod room because I will not be in this. You won't be able to. You won't see the MVP and logo and all the perfect is the enemy of good sign behind me. I am relocating to a better and bigger place. So this is the last one. I move today/tomorrow. So but the new podcast studio will be coming on Monday. Don't know what it'll look like. But yeah, next week we're going to be doing a Monday pod, typical 9 a.m. But then we are going to be going live Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Wednesday and Thursday, though, we'll be going live in the evening right after the NCAA the NCAA championships. So I think it's around 10:20 Central Time on Wednesday, 8:50 Central Time on Thursday. And then Friday and Saturday, the finals of NCAAs, we will go live actually during the start of the NCAA championships and kind of watch NCAAs with you guys. So next week, Monday, normal pod, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Wednesday and Thursday after NCAAs, Friday and Saturday during NCAAs. So it should be a good show.
Simple as that. Write it down.
Simple as
that. You have a record of it.
Write it down.
I'm looking forward to doing the live shows during the meet. Again, that was fun. We did them during indoors and cross. I'm assuming you're going to keep tabs on the team score. Although, if things keep progressing the way they are on the men's side of things, you're just going to be talking about LSU for a couple hours.
Probably. But, people trying to get second, third, fourth.
Sure.
In track and field, we give out a lot of awards for people who don't win. It's a thing we do.
Correct.
They don't really do that in many other sports. But in track, if you get seventh, we are going to congratulate you.
Yeah. We'll talk about it too. It gives us something for us to talk about during this live show.
We'll talk about it. Right now it would be like, the Sixers are going to be at least top 8 this year.
Nope,
because they're in the final 8. So
we're not to 60 seconds of Sixers yet. That's coming up. By the way, thank you for helping me tease that. That'll be coming up at the end of today's show. 60 seconds of Sixers. We're also going to talk about Stumptown Twilight briefly. That meet is on Thursday night. Hobbs Kessler's quadruple, the Hangalo Ethiopian trial. The Ethiopian trials are being hosted at the Hangalo meet, which is the Continental Tour meet live on FloTrack. That's exciting. But I want to first start with NCAA because, as you mentioned, we don't really have many shows until the NCAA championships kick off. We have one really until it gets going next Monday. So we're going to need to start talking about it now. We can't really wait any longer. So I put together a list of biggest questions I have going in the meet. I'm sure you have some as well, too. But I guess first, can you give me kind of like the lay of the land after prelims, just from a team perspective? Did anything much change?
Well, we can bring up the rankings if we want, the team rankings, so we can kind of see where we stand. So Travis will. Those aren't the rankings. Those are the entries by team. So we'll have Travis bring up the rankings. So yeah, on the men's side, it's basically still an LSU dominant projected meet. They're not at 100 points much anymore. They're projected to get 87. And then there's just like that battle for second, third, fourth, fifth with Oregon leading the way, USC up there, Texas in the mix, North Carolina A&T there with 32 points. They're in fifth. BYU in 6th, 28, and then you have a bunch of teams like Georgia, Iowa State, Texas A&M, Florida State, Kansas, Florida. So it's going to be the LSU show with the battle for second between Oregon, USC, and Texas, and then a conglomerate of schools they're fighting for that final podium spot.
So nothing much changed.
Nothing much changed.
Women, are we still projecting it to be very close on the women's side of things?
Yeah, women is still a close race between A&M and LSU. USC still up there. Texas has fallen off to 6th, but I think it's really going to be like a kind of a try meet between A&M, LSU, and USC.
Mhm.
With Alabama sneakily maybe showing up and having an incredible meet led by Mercy Chalanga and Tamisa, the 1500-meter runner from Alabama, who can finish second at NCAAs and cross. So
Right.
there's a chance Alabama sneaks in, but I'm thinking it's going to be an A&M LSU show.
All right. Okay. Let's get into these questions because these pertain more to the individual competition than the team. So I want to give a little bit of a team taste here. And if you have questions, put them in the chat. If you're watching now live on YouTube, throw them in the chat. We might talk about them. We don't need to spend a ton of time on each of these. It's up to you, Gordon. I'm sure when we talk about the men's 5K, you'll go on for a while. But we could just do these more rapid fire. I don't know if you had questions too. My first one is, does Cole Hawker double? What do you think he ends up doing?
I think he does. Yeah. I mean, the 1500's first, so he'll do the 1500. So you're basically wondering if does he scratch the 5K?
Correct, because they can't. They're not going to scratch him from the. They can't, right? Like with the honest effort rules, right? Everybody's entered,
Yeah.
and then you have to run once you've declared and you are entered in the meet. So yes, I'm wondering if he runs the 5K. Like if he wins the 1500, does he come back later on in the meet and run the 5K? I wonder it from two different perspectives. One, in terms of trials prep, and two, more related to the actual meet itself. Obviously, that would give a little bit more juice to that men's 5,000.
I guess you're assuming the only reason he would scratch is if the coaching staff at Oregon recognizes that going 1-2 in the 5K is not going to make them beat LSU. So let's just pack it up and let Hawker's legs relax and let Cooper Tier try to win a title. Is that what basically you're saying? They're only going
Not
to
that
run it
last
if
part.
they're in team
Not
contention?
not so much that last part about letting Cooper Tier win a team title, but just hey, he had a great 1500. It's already been a long season. Let's try to get him on the team for the Olympics. And running another 5K may not be the best plan for that. I just
I
think
think he's going to
everybody is
do it.
cautious. I think everybody's cautious, right? Like that's the default in track. You never go wrong betting on someone being and a team being overly cautious. Yeah, the team thing adds a little bit to it, but you just said they're 40 points back of LSU. Okay, maybe it's what keeps them in second or keeps them on the podium. It's just, it's not as if that 5K is going to be slow or easy to get points in.
I think he runs it. I don't see why not. I think he'll run both. I don't know.
Can we
I
pull up
think
the
Hawkers will be like,
schedule?
yeah, I want to run the 5K.
Travis, can we pull up
And
the
then he's going
schedule?
to do it.
Let's just look at the actual time that's elapsed here, because the other part you got to think about here is this 1500 probably won't be a normal 1500 because you have two people who believe strongly that prelim time is PR time and are going to race aggressively, because when you get to the final, I don't think Ilya Kipsang is going to be screwing around. I think Jared Negus is going to go right with him. So if you look at that final day on Friday, men's 1500 is at 5:11, men's 5000 is at 6:55. Every championship race is going to be hard, don't get me wrong, but I think there's a different dynamic when that 1500 turns into a all out Kipsang Nagoose led knockdown drag out fight from the gun versus maybe something where it's a slower windup or just a big last 300. So he's only going to have an hour and 40 minutes between those two races.
I mean, I think he's going to do it. He's young.
Okay.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I could be wrong, but like, it's kind of like lame if he doesn't do it. It's like, all right, then why'd you enter in the first place? If you were only going to run it in the super rare case that LSU had an awful meet, it's just like, you know,
Options. You do it for
but like if,
options.
yeah, you do it for options, but like at the same time, if there is because there's like an 85% chance that LSU is going to have it wrapped up after the 200, like,
Yeah.
in my opinion. And if I think everyone knows it, and I think Oregon even knows that.
Mm-hmm.
So like to like do this whole double charade, if you know like there's a high probability you're not gonna do it when it comes down to it, seems like a waste of. You know what? I'll ask Robert Johnson in the press conference on tomorrow. I'll straight
Mm-hmm.
up just be like, hey, if Oregon's not in it, will Cole Hawker run the 5K?
I
And
don't
he'll
think you're going to
he'll
get
he'll
a
talk around
direct.
the. Well,
Yeah,
I
I don't
will
think you'll
I
get
will
a.
double. I will ask more than
Here's a
I'll
better
ask in
way to.
multiple varieties.
Here's a better way to ask that question to get maybe something
Okay,
out of
let's
it, which
prepare.
would be
Let's work on it.
here. Yeah, let's
Let's
workshop
workshop.
these questions. Okay, here's a better way. Uh, what sort of considerations will be in play when deciding whether or not to have Cole Hawker run the 5,000 at the end of the meet? I think we might get farther with that one. It's less direct, but then you might actually get a mention of where they're at in the team score. Because if you just
Should
say,
I
"Is he going to run?" He's not going to say no. That would be insane.
should I say is there a chance you would not run him? Maybe I don't know. Hey, in the
No, he's not
chat,
going.
write the question for me, and maybe I'll just read it, and I'll say user 184 Johnny asks, "What's
Well,
the deal with
because
Cole Hawker?"
so there's other doubles out there too that I'm like 15-5 doubles that I'm interested in, right? Here that could potentially not like I'm wondering about Whitney Orton. Same thing, right? 15-5. It's tough. It's a brutal double coming back. Now, BYU, the women, they're what would you say fringe podium contender?
Yeah,
Is
no,
that
they're
fair to
not.
say?
The odds are not strong.
Right. But she's another one where she's got the trials in a week. So are you going to have her race twice and then try to come back later on at the end of the meet? I just think a lot of it depends on that 50. I think for Hawker, a lot of it depends on the 15. I think the same thing for Orton. And if you get your NCAA title and you really had to go to the well to do it, which chances are you did, then you can be happy and satisfied and then move on to the next competition, which happens to be the Olympic trials. For Hawker, though, who has a legit chance of making the team, I think is different than some of these other doublers out there. But someone like Whitney Orton, I'm interested in as well because of the dynamic that it would have in the women's 5,000. Because is there a clear favorite in the women's 5,000? Is it her? Is it somebody else? That race is a bit open to me.
Yeah, I mean, Chilang got maybe. She's
Mm-hmm.
the cross country champion.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
My next question: can a thing Mo break her collegiate record again? What do you think?
I don't think she does. I don't think she tries to. I think she jogs. I
Well,
think
not
she just
jogs.
cruises to get
You're
10
saying she
points.
wins.
She wins. Yeah, I'm saying she wins, but I have it's not going to be on her mind at all. I think she's just going to run. I think what's on her mind right now is finishing first and
Mm-hmm.
getting ready for the trials. I think that's the only thing she's thinking about. I do not think she is thinking about trying to PR. PR, like we said, prelim time is PR time.
Mm-hmm.
We're not in the prelims anymore. We're in the finals, so she's not going to try to PR.
Do you
I'm willing to
think?
say she will run an incredible 4x4 split. She'll probably split like 49-0 in the 4x4 after running like 50.2 in the 400 final.
Mm-hmm.
Her the storyline behind a thing Mo will be her 4x4 split, not her open performances.
I was going to ask about the 4x4 because that's before the trials. So when you said, "Oh, she's going to turn her attention to what's next," I immediately thought, "Oh, that means she's going to put it all into the 4x4," which would make sense because
Yeah.
that's the last event, and depending on what leg she runs, they might need her to run faster than she ever has before. I just wonder NCAA final. It's hard to mess around though. It's hard to really gauge your effort because you don't know what. And we talked last episode yesterday about how good Stacey Ann Williams is. She's not sub 50 like a Thing Mo is, but I mean the difference between 49.6 and 50.3 is in the grand scheme of things not that big. So I don't know how soon she can take her foot off the gas. She might have to run incredibly fast to do it. Anyway, next one. Next one.
Hit me.
We got Luis Grijalva.
Ooh.
Can he finally get an individual title?
100% yes.
Will
I mean,
he get
he will.
the
It's a
5,000
lock.
title?
He's been my lock since the December track meet where he outkicked Cooper Tier. And he has not shown, in all of his track races, he has not shown a reason to doubt him. I know you keep on trying to bring it up like, yeah, but Cole Hawker's running well indoors. Cooper Tier's doing this. He just won that Pac-12 race, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, if you watch Luis Grijalva's entire outdoor campaign, every race has been what you expect someone who's going to win nationals. I mean, obviously he started with the 1500, opens with a 339, wins it. Then he runs that Fresno 5K, which he runs 1329. But if you watch the last lap, it's just like, he's a different person in that final lap. And then Big Sky does, he runs 5 races in 2 days. So he's not going to win them all, but he's kind of just cruising, like whatever. The only race he tried to win was the 1500, and he won that. And then the West 5K prelim, where he also closed in 54 seconds, and him and Cole Hawker just pulled away from everyone. So I think.
Yeah, but let's look at his season in totality. It was this one race. It was the West Coast Relays 5,000. I mean, the conference meet was about racking up points. The West prelim was about qualifying, and the 1500 that he ran was great, but it was a 1500, which is not what he's racing here at the championship. So we don't have a head-to-head of him versus Hawker in recent memory. You got to go back.
Well, we do have the 5K prelim we just had.
Well, a real race, not one where they're looking around at each other. We don't have him versus Cooper Tier in several months. I think it's interesting with Grijalva. I mean, 9th in cross country, that's his best NCAA championship performance, correct? I know we've done this before. Like he's never scored in a NCAA track championship, either indoor or outdoors. What he's got going for him here is your favorite event doesn't have some of the big names. It does not have Connor Mans. It does not have Edwin Kurgat. So the amount of people there who can run at Grijalva's level is much smaller, because we talked about Hawker, Tier. We obviously talked about Wesley Kiptoo there as well as being a guy who could win it. But it's not as deep as it was at the beginning of the season for a variety of reasons. What do you think is the best type of race? I say that knowing that Wesley Kiptoo is going to put his fingerprints all over this race. So Grijalva may not have a lot of say in how the race goes, but if you were designing a plan, what would it be?
Well, you know that Kiptoo's going to go out in like 60 seconds. Kiptoo will go out in like 2:03. The question is, it's only 12 laps. There's no hills. Like in a 10K, people were like, all right, let Kiptoo go. And then like Mance kind of just was really good at timing it really well to stay back, then catch up, then go, and then finally end it, So I really think what Grijalva's going to do and the coaching staff is going to have to do is they're just going to have to watch Kiptoo's races, see what he does in the beginning third of every race, and then adjust. And so, okay, let's look at this. Let's bring up the screen. Yeah. So on the screen, we have the 10K at Cross. So they go out 1K in 2:31. It was just Mance and Wilshut up there with them. And then 2K, they were still together. 3K, Kiptoo started pulling away. And Kiptoo built up a 2-second lead on Mance. And then
Mhm.
Kiptoo built up a 5-second lead on Mance. Then Mance slowly started coming back. So at 3K, it was 2-second lead, 4K, 5-second lead. And then at 5K started going down. 5K was a 3-second lead. 6K was a 2-second lead. And then by 7K,
Correct.
they were tied again. So Kiptoo likes getting to that big lead in the opening 2 to 3K. And then he doesn't hold it. He never holds it. Like everyone says, like, oh, he keeps on holding it until he drops everyone. You just gotta let him do his thing in the beginning third of the race. And then
Mhm.
that middle part of the race is where you gotta close on him and get back to him. So as long as you're so if I was, Hawker, Tier, Grijalva, or anyone else trying to challenge Kiptoo, let him party on his own for the first K. But run on it. Stay like 10 meters back of him. And then the middle K, you slowly get him back, and he will get too comfortable. And then as long as you're tied with Kiptoo with 2K to go, you're good. You just have to be with Kiptoo by like
Easier said than
3.5K.
Yeah, but that's easier said than done. Like he's going at paces that it's not even feasible for the field to go out in. I think Kiptoo's established a pattern. We can say that. So you can game plan
Yeah.
for Wesley Kiptoo. That's the positive. The negative to it is I think it's gonna cause people they're gonna have to think during this race. They're really gonna have to come up with a strategy. It can't just be one of those things, well, I'll see how it goes. And it's gonna end up, oh yeah, we're all together with 1K to go, and then it's a mad dash for home. Like Grijalva, I think you're right, would have to actually look at where, and Tier as well too. And then you're gonna have to make a decision at some point in the race. When he goes out in 60, which I think he's going to go out in, or 61, and he's going to go out in whatever 204 through the 800. There's no reasonable person running that race would say, okay, I got to stick with him. I'm going to run with him. So that decision is largely made for you. Where you do need to make a decision is later on in the race, when to go, and it behooves Grijalva, Hawker, if he runs it, Tier, and whoever else is in that group to work together to try to bridge that gap. The problem is, I don't know if anybody's going to want to be basically rabbiting that second group, which could allow the Kip 2 point, like we talked about yesterday, the day before on the show, to move back. So instead of the point in the race where the lead starts to shrink being at, let's say, 2,400, 2,800, maybe it's at 3,200 because there's just a little bit of hesitation from the pack. That's what I would be concerned about if I was on one of these other teams is, do you have enough people working together to start to go after him? Because it's a little bit different in the prelims, right? Because everybody's just trying to get that top 5. So everyone kind of panics a little bit to do it, and then before you know it, you have a group of people going for it like you did at the West prelims. But it's different in the championship where everybody's just gunning for that top spot.
I just think there's so much data out there on Kiptoo now that I truly think that Tier, Klinger, Grijalva, Hawker are all going to know. They're not going to be shocked at what Kiptoo does. Like you saw in the indoor 5K, like Amon Kemboy was shocked at what Kiptoo does. I remember talking to uh, Arkansas head coach, and he says, "Yeah, I screwed up because
Mm-hmm.
I should have known what Kiptoo was going to do, and it burnt out Kemboy, and he wasn't prepared to run an opening 1K that fast.
Yeah.
And I should have prepared my athlete to like let Kiptoo go and then get him later, So I think all the athletes have now seen what Kiptoo does, and they know that like let him go,
Mm-hmm.
and he will come back. He is not a 13 flat 5K runner who can just hold it. He has shown that he doesn't hold it. So you just have to be patient and then
Yeah.
make your move. I
But
mean, Mance did it. Mance proved there's a way to do it. So
It's different though. It's different
we
though.
know that it's
As you talked about
possible.
before,
Possible.
it's well, he's not coming. He's coming off of a 10K 2 days before, where he has to go against Mans. So he will be tired, but I don't think it's going to be the same type of difficult turnaround that he had going from Fayetteville and indoors to Stillwater for a cross. And it's going to only be 5,000. So the margin, the amount of slack you can give is less. I want to know over under 60.5 for the first 400. What do you take it for a split?
I'll go with the over. Say it goes down 61.
I think he's going to do something special in this one. I think he's going to put his most Kip 2 performance of the season on the line for his last race. I think we're going to see 59 or something insane for the first 400, and
That
I'm going to
would
be
be
laughing.
awesome.
I'm going to be laughing during that live stream. It's going to be good. That answered one of my other questions. How about this one? Does Courtney Weymouth become a trials favorite after this meet in the steeplechase? Top
You're
three
big on
favorite.
this Courtney. You're big on the Courtney Weymouth train.
I think we haven't seen Colleen Quigley race a steeple in a good long while. Obviously, Emma Coburn looks good. Frericks has looked good. There might be a third spot, more open than we thought. I know Leah Fallon's run really well. Marissa Howard's run really well. But Weymouth's steeple this past weekend was her, second steeple of the year at West Coast. She ran 9:31, only 7 seconds off the collegiate record. I was looking at races where people could be, serious trials contenders. We'll get to Terrence Laird in a second here, and some of the other sprinters. But when it comes to distance, after a thing Mo, there's not many collegians that are going to be on the women's side that are going to be having legit chances to qualify in the following week. That I think Weymouth would be one of them.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there are a couple sprinters potentially.
Yeah, we'll get to them in a second. I was talking about distance,
Yeah,
like
but
5 and 10.
this
Like it's going to be real hard. Even 15.
yeah,
It's
no,
like
yeah.
Sage Herda. Sage Herda could factor in if she has a good meet, but that's going to be tough. We talked about Mo in the 800. Aaliyah Miller might be someone who could make that final. But I think Weymouth at like worst right now is sixth best in the U.S. And depending on what happens um, with Quigley, I think could factor in there. Yeah, Val Constian's run really well too. We got her name up on that list there. Mel Lawrence 927. But Weymouth's, it's just like it comes with an asterisk because that was her first steeple in 4 years
Yeah.
when she ran the 931.
Yeah, and I do think she's definitely going to want to run sub 930 because she's going to want to get the standard out of the way.
Mhm.
I mean, it doesn't really matter in the women's steeple because the odds of the trials final being a 930 plus race is just not happening. So, but it's good to get it so it's not you're not thinking about it when you're in the race. So yeah, I could see it. It could be fast, and I could see Weymouth then. Hey, if I'm trying to run sub 930, I might as well try to flirt with Frericks' collegiate record.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, if she does that, then you're like, whoa, you just dominated the steeple. We have this dynamic where the big three in the steeple, eventually it's gonna break apart, right?
Mm-hmm.
Eventually the big three lost in Miami in 2014 to the Spurs. So
Yes.
maybe Courtney Weymouth is the 2014 Spurs and she can break up the big three. I mean, maybe that's what it is.
Man, real quick NBA side, I got to apologize to Lopez Lamong. I thought comparing him to Kawhi and not the Clippers would have been a compliment to him, but after last night's game, I don't. I don't know. Maybe he's Luca. Maybe he's Luca. Maybe that'll be it.
Maybe he's Luca.
Same question, but for the women's 100. So will we see one of those women emerge? Talked about Tonisha Terry, Cambria Sturgis in the 100, Kemba Nelson and Tamara Clark, the four women who went sub 11. Kemba Nelson represents Jamaica, but Terry, Sturgis, and Clark. I don't expect to see a Sha'Carri Richardson 2019 Austin performance where someone drops a 1075, but even another sub 10.9 for Terry, and you have to feel good about her uh, getting to that final and having a chance to make the Olympic team.
Yeah, I think one of these college kids will make the team. in my opinion. I think there hasn't really been a strong 2-3 punch on the U.S. pro side behind Sha'Carri. Maybe that's because we're not even looking at them because we keep on our heads can't see the gap that she keeps on having in the start to the finish line. So we don't see who finishes second because we already turned our head to see how far away Sha'Carri has run. But I really do think you need to be a 10-9 is good enough
Yeah.
to be in conversation for top 3 in the U.S. And we're having women do it multiple times here.
Yeah.
And you have someone like Terry who's broken 10-9. So I think the winner of the NCAA champs will be a favorite to make the trials. And even the loser, right? I could see someone who gets second at NCAAs kind of lick their wounds and then come back and then beat them at the trials. So it's not like it's the winner and then you're on. I think you shuffle up these 4 U.S. women. Obviously, Nelson.
Three.
I mean, 3 U.S. women because Nelson's Jamaican. I think one of them will put it all together a week after the champs and make an Olympic team. So it'll
I
be exciting.
I think the magic number is 1 here for how many collegians will make the team, because you got to put Richardson on there. I'm talking about the open 100 here, and I think someone from that veteran group is going to emerge. Maybe it's Aaliyah Hobbs, maybe it's Tiana Daniels, Oliver, Briscoe, Parker, someone like that. Maybe a Kinnison again, but I feel really good about either Terry, Sturgis, or Clark getting on the team. Also, I should mention Kayla White, who's run under 11 seconds this year as a pro. So I think, I think there's going to be one. I think the fact that we have just a few days now between NCAAs and Olympic trials is going to be a good thing for this group. And I'm really excited to see what these women come up with. We also, I want to see. I know we've had a couple meets at Hayward, right? The new Hayward, but I want to see how fast. Yep. I want to see how fast that track is, because we don't have that many results to make a conclusion. I want to see how good or bad that wind is for people, how fast the surface is. That'll be fun to see. Obviously, Austin, things were crazy in 2019. Combination of a number of factors led to that. Can the Hayward Stadium help get some fast performances? Let's go to the men's sprint side. And my question here is specifically about Terrence Laird. He hasn't really shown any vulnerabilities this year, Gordon. You look at his year, like what's the bad, since indoors, what's the bad Terrence Laird race? Can you find one? Because everything's looked pretty good. He's been throwing strikes now for a couple months. Now we know he's going to go against some really strong competition in both the 100 and the 200. Do you think there's any chance he gets upset in this weekend? I guess his biggest chance would be in the 100. So I'll say in the 200. Is there any chance he gets upset in the 200? And what do you expect from him in the 100?
I mean, there is a chance he could get upset in both. I mean, there are talented athletes who can challenge him in the 1, in the 2, and then obviously teams there in the 4x1. In the 1, you have Sean Masagawa, who is, he's broken 10. He's like a legitimate international type talent who's has experience at big time races. And then you have the Michael Williams and the Bowlings, kind of the challenge layer there. And then in the 200, it's the same people, the basically SEC part 2 with
Fanbola,
Funbola, Long, and Bowling. I mean, Bowling did beat Laird indoors, and Laird was dominating Bowling all regular season until the NCAA final indoors. So, again, though, the indoor champs, very different from outdoor, with just turns not the same. So, I do think there's a chance, but there's also a very good chance no one touches him. which
Mhm.
is good. You want him. You want someone who's going to not dominate purely because there was no one who challenged him, right? It's not as fun seeing a 1-8
Yeah.
seed, right, in the playoffs. You want to see a 1 and 2 seed go at each other and see a dominant performance from a 1 seed over a 2 seed. So I think we might see that. I think we might see LSU. Obviously, they're going to win the team title, but if Laird can pull off the double and second
Mhm.
place in each of these doubles is running like 9-9 and 19-9, and you beat both of
Mhm.
those guys, that says something. It kind of reminds me of Andre DeGrasse, right?
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
he defeated Trayvon Bromell and like made Bromell getting second, even though
Mhm.
Bromell ran an incredible time. Everyone was just talking about DeGrasse because DeGrasse was just had another level. So we could be seeing a DeGrasse-esque performance, I think, next week, and it'll be exciting. He'll definitely break in that track with some new fast times for the stadium records.
And he'll keep that LSU potential sprint sweep. That's still in play with him Laird in the 1 and the 2, and Noah Williams in the 4, and their hurdlers and their relays. I'd say that's obviously going to be tough
Oh
to do,
yeah,
but the fact that it's a possibility is just crazy for LSU, man.
they could win the. The only thing they're not going to win the 4x4, but they could win all the individual ones. Yeah, 1, 2, 4, 400 hurdles, 110 hurdles. That would be impressive.
Hmm. Yeah, we talked about USC women doing that a couple
Yeah.
years back. They never got the chance because the season got canceled, which was a bummer because then people moved on and the team's never it's not the same after that. And LSU has the opportunity right now to try to do it. So yeah, I'm excited for Laird. We got a question in the chat from Ryan who says wants to know if Isaiah Jewett will make the 800 team. I want to wait until after NCAA's for that. That 800 though is going to be really good. That's a that's an underrated race this year because there's a lot of attention going to distances above it and below it for good reason. But Brandon Miller has been running out of his mind. 145, 57 is his season best. You have Jewett, who's been super strong. Beat Charlie Hunter, who looked amazing during the indoor season and has racked up some amazing PBs. Finley McClear, who almost beat Hunter indoors. Devin Dixon just looming there. We don't know what to expect from him. This is going to be a good. This is going to be a good
And
men's 800.
Yusuf Bizimana of Texas, who had
Mm-hmm.
an incredible Big 12 meet. He won the 15 and the 8, and obviously
Mm-hmm.
Festus Legat of Iowa State. So there's a good combination of like really good kickers
Mm-hmm.
in Hunter, Bizimana, and Legat,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have like the strong I can run
Front runners.
145s in Jewett and Miller. So yeah, and I think it's also interesting because there's no true favorite, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, it would have been Devin Dixon, but Dixon just hasn't been the same since 2019. So it's like a fun race where like you could argue 6 different champs, and if those six, any of those 6 won, you'd be like, oh yeah, that made sense. They were the best, which makes it more fun because it's not like a Laird versus Field. It's going to be anybody, which is great.
There's, by my count, 9 freshmen in that race of the 24 people in the field. I know there's more freshmen this year because of last season, but that's a lot of freshmen in that race.
Yeah,
It's tough to think about the men's 800 in the context of the Olympic trials because those spots seem taken by the pros. Picking against Brazier, Hopple, Murphy, Harris, like that quartet looks really, really good, but that doesn't mean they can't make a final and then have a shot at it. My last question for you, Gordon, or for anybody here, about this meet, which team's Twitter account is the most likely to troll Gordon after the meet? Because we've had some attempts this year, LSU, Florida, but is there a dark horse out there lurking that will
hey,
at you on
LSU the
over the weekend?
the Florida track managers, they haven't tweeted at me since I told them that I'm really good at picking their team. And this is the first time I am the week before predicting. Oh, well, I didn't see this. Gordon continues to make it seem like predicting UF's finishes and NCAAs is like rocket science, which it isn't, because we finished in top 3 at 21 last 23 with 19 times and 9. That's it. And yet we weren't top 10 at the beginning of indoor. Your ranking at the beginning of indoor season means nothing. I'm sorry, it doesn't. When you don't know that Raymond
Ekvewo.
Igvewo had eligibility because he technically, I'm not sure, the COVID thing, you don't know. So, like, no, as soon as he had eligibility, you recognize it, you went from whatever. We all know preseason rankings don't mean anything. Come on. No, this is bull. I'm just saying, I'm really good. You know who you have right before the meet. And right before the meet, I predict Florida extremely accurately. I never doubt them. This is the first time I'm kind of doubting them now because I have them like 12th. But they haven't had that good. They didn't qualify to 4x1. So I think they even know it's going to be an off year. But they're still going to be good regardless.
I just like
and the Noah Williams thing,
the
like,
track
yes,
manager account.
the Noah
wrong
Williams
on
thing,
that.
I was wrong on that, and I admit that. But like, I am now for the past month and a half think Noah Williams is going to make the Olympic team. I think he's going to win NCAAs. So like,
Olympic team. You went all the way to the Olympic team?
Yeah, he's going to make the
have
Olympic team.
You never.
Well, he worked his way up. That's how it works. You work your way up. If no one knew who Noah Williams was in 2020, so like, excuse me for not like all of a sudden jumping on the Noah Williams train and being like anointing him the next great quarter miler in the U.S. He had to give me some data points, and he gave me.
You should have known him after indoors.
No, you don't. No, I've learned the indoor results. Okay, if we're supposed to just like anoint people, then bowling should have been tearing up the outdoor scene, but because he smoked Laird. But no, like indoor is a very minor part of what you are. Your true ability against the rest of the world is. And Noah Williams was nothing until he ran his first outdoor race, and then he became everything, and he has all the respect now. There's nothing wrong with being ranked low and then running fast and then getting ranked higher because you ran fast. It's just like, there's no shame in that. Noah Williams is great. I think he's going to be top 3 at the trials. I think he's going to win NCAAs.
I don't think it's going to be LSU that trolls you. I would not pick them because they're going to have they're going to be busy. They're going to have so many graphics to make of NCAA champion this, NCAA champion that. So their social media team and their SIDs are going to be busy doing that. It's going to be somebody off the board. We got another one here from,
do you know LSU's
State's coach, because you got a name wrong. You got Kenyon Abdi's name wrong. I mean, if we're going to do Gordon getting someone's name wrong, then the whole entire NCAA is going to come after Gordon because at one point or the other, he's messed it up. Who do you think is going to prove you the most wrong? I guess if you knew that, you wouldn't pick them. So that's
I mean, have I ever said like you're done? I mean, who's like the person I've given up on, and then they do well, then it's like, hey, you should never give up on us. I do want to say one thing about LSU. No one has ever called this out, and I need to be the first. They put up not accurate news. I don't want to use the phrase that everyone says has been saying for the past 4 years, but they put up not accurate news on their Twitter handle, and it bothers me. They put up
what are you complaining about?
They put up fake billboards on their Twitter account, especially like when Mondo was doing well. They pretend that they put their track athletes on billboards in their town when they're not real. They're photoshopped, and no one knows that they're photoshopped.
How far back are you going on this? What are we doing? Why are you trying to start a feud with LSU? I just said you guys are probably cool now.
Like here it is. Show this. That is not a real billboard. That's not real. That's a Photoshop. That's a Photoshop. They did it for like they do it for like Sha'Carri Richardson when she won the Bowerman, stuff like that. That is not a real billboard. That is a Photoshop. And people think it's real. Because it's like, all right, it's cool. You're kind of showing a new way to like show someone without. It's a new way to make a cool infographic. But like,
what are you worried about? You worried someone's gonna? Are you worried someone's going to drive to Baton Rouge and look for the billboard and get disappointed? I mean, if you look hard
No,
enough at that, you can tell it's photoshopped. I think it looks
no, but the
cool.
people think like, yes, respect for track. We need more track and field getting more respect. And it's like, it's not. It's a Photoshop. It's not real.
Hey, this person saw it live,
No, I don't believe him.
so
I don't
maybe you're
believe him.
wrong.
I don't believe him.
I think you're wrong. I think it's an
I,
actual
there,
billboard.
it's,
Anybody in Baton Rouge, let us know. Um,
that's my only gripe.
Oregon,
They're not real billboards.
Oregon,
Maybe they are,
Oregon, I think had
but
Oregon had track athletes on billboards. If you're wrong, now you look really dumb. I'm just
I
gonna
know
say
that they can come at me
that's
there. But like the photos that I would think I was able to find the stock photo of that billboard too, with like the template. Just like the the color contrast is so like strong
Have you
that it just
actually
looks like it.
have you done? I mean, it does look photoshopped. I will give you
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It doesn't like you don't have that many pixels on a board on a billboard, right? So
But
it
the
looks
person said they
photoshopped.
saw it live. The
Yeah,
person said
but
they
like
saw it.
that person had LSU in their Twitter handle. So like, come on. People people think cow tipping is real. Do you believe in cow tipping? Do you know what cow tipping is?
Cal? Yeah, you
Cow.
knock over cows.
That's never been done. Cow tipping is fake. It's an urban
According
legend
to
that
who?
everyone think happens. Cows sleep on the ground. There's not a single video in the entire internet of someone cow tipping. It's like UFOs and aliens. It's not real, but everyone thinks cow tipping is a thing like college and high school kids do in the middle of the night. But no one has ever filmed themselves actually tipping a cow. One, because they go away, and two, because they sleep on the ground. Cow tipping is fake. It's not real.
This took a turn. Do you want
Yeah.
to talk about Hobbs Kessler running this weekend?
Watching a random video. Oh, yeah. Hobbs Kessler. Oh, yeah. I'm excited about this.
Hit me with it. He's running a
Quadruple,
state
four
meet.
by state
Who
meet.
doesn't go from running 334 and a 1500 in a pro race to quadrupling in their state meet? Just a natural couple of weeks.
What do you think the total time? We should set the over under of what his total time would be. So he's running a 4x8, an 800, a 1600, and a 3200. So I think he runs
Oh,
148, 148. I think he runs 405. Then I think he runs like, I think he probably tries to break the high school national 3200 meter record. I bet you that's his focus. What do you think?
really? Quadrupling in the midst of a
Well, I think that's
quadruple,
like the
which
one
I haven't
race
looked
he's
at.
gonna want. That's the one race he's gonna want to run the fastest time wise in.
I think he's
Uh,
just doing this to compete with his team one last time and rack up a bunch of wins. And I think it's a
yeah,
tough
40
ask
points.
at
Yeah.
the end. Yes, 40 points at the end of all that to get. I mean, I'm assuming the I'm assuming the 3200s last to get the high school record at
Well, I just think
3200
of
high
what
school. Is
German
that
Fernandez did. That's what I'm trying to think when he did the crazy
right?
16:32 double.
Yeah, I mean that was otherworldly, right? That he when he did was it 836? I want to say. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't have it right in front of me. But yeah, four flat, and then he ran the 3200, and he just destroyed everybody in that race. It was incredible. But that's the difference of two races versus four races, and he wasn't coming off at 334. So
That's true. I
I don't know.
guess it's
People are
is
saying
he
in the
gonna?
chat now he's not. People are saying in the chat he's not going to do the quad.
Oh, he's not.
Trevor says he said he wasn't doing the 3200. So there
Ah,
you go.
thanks, chat, for letting us know. He was in the start list. I guess he'll just scratch one of them.
Yes, now you got to restart your whole thesis here on his total time. So
Yeah. Well, maybe let's talk about this. If he does win them all, which he will, when they give out the award for like team champs, is it just gonna be him standing on the
mhm.
podium by himself saying, "I am a team champion"?
Well, he's got in the 4x8, he's got three other guys with him, so they
That's
can
true.
take credit for it. I wanted to ask, do you think he'll be the athlete of the meet?
No,
And
I
how
mean
big of a
yes,
bummer is
but
it to
also
be
I could
this?
see
How
meet
big of
direct.
a bummer is it to be the second best athlete at this meet?
But you
That's
also know
tough.
like they could pull a Bowerman on him and just like
Mhm.
zag when everyone's zigging and be like, oh no, he's already great. We can't award the greatness more greatness, so let's give it to the triple jump state record holder.
Okay. Well,
I can see him doing
I
that.
guess, yeah. The problem is you set the high expectations, and then where do you go? Where do you go from there? Hangalo Continental Tour. I want to talk about that. That's coming up live on FloTrack, and it's also going to host the Ethiopian trials. So these start lists, Gordon, are incredible. You have so many big names like Gudov Sagai, Letensipet Gede. So you got a couple world record holders right there. They'll be running the 5,000. Hagos Gebrewet in the 10,000. The list goes on and on here. Ethiopia's done this in the past where they have their trials at a meet outside the country, and this year they'll be doing it in Hangalo. So be sure to check that one out live on FloTrack. G'day versus the guy is going to be amazing.
Yeah. I mean, the next, like we said, we already had one Continental Tour yesterday. We have another one
Mm-hmm.
today. It's just like a bunch of track meets after track meets. So we have four more through now between now and June 8th with Hengelo, Praia, Turku, and Holuva? I don't know how to say.
Mm-hmm.
See, if you get mad at me for not saying your name right and on a podcast, I also don't know how to say cities either. So I have mayors calling me. It's not good. I'm just not good at the English language. That's just how it goes.
Okay, we have an interesting comment in the chat, and I don't know if this is true. I hope it is. From Rose Runner, he said they extended 9 meters in the 1600 for the full mile for Grant Fisher his senior year at the Michigan State meet. They should do that for Hobbs.
So you can
If
have
that's
a well.
true, that's incredible. They literally changed the distance of the event for somebody at the state meet. Not an invite, not a one-off meet, but at the state meet, they changed the distance of the event. I mean, I know it's only 9 more meters, but that's incredible.
Will they do
I want
that?
to see.
What does
I want to
Hobbs
see
is Hobbs trying to
Kessler.
break up?
Well, I mean, he has to run 353, which if he does 353 by him, I would assume it'd be by himself. That would be insane, even by Hobbs standards. But I do want to see him run a fast mile, even though we all know 334 is faster than 353 equivalent. But I would like to see just him get a crack at that mile record as well, too. How good do you have
What's
to
your
be for
take?
them to
What
change the distance? We talked about being good enough for athletes to change the schedule, like Michael Johnson back in the day, and then Felix was
Felix? Yeah,
lobbying to do it, and Shawnee Miller
Shawnee
Weibo and
Miller
all that
will.
stuff.
Yeah.
But like, how good do you have to be for them to change the distance that you're running? That's pretty impressive. So, oh, we said so.
What if you could
Roadrunner
get
said they
him?
had two cameras for the 16 and the mile, but it just changes the start line. I mean, no one wants to be that coach or that athlete who's like, no, we are not going to bump up 9 more meters. We are
Yeah.
insisting that it needs to be 4 complete laps. If you did like a 15 to 1600, I could see some people pushing back and saying, hey, we haven't done this all year. Why are we changing it? But it's a minor difference, but just
How
speaks to
fast would
his ability. That's crazy.
how fast would you need to be in the 60-meter dash for them to change the 100 meters to a 60 for you? So you know
Well,
what I'm saying?
it's not how
I'm gonna run like 6.2. So like just let me run the 60.
it's not how fast you'd have to be. It's the 60 would have to be more important because the
Yeah.
mile versus the 1600, it's not close in terms of prestige. I get why schools still do it, high schools still do it, but 60 doesn't have that cachet. I guess this is the only event where it would matter.
Why
Stop.
why do high schoolers still do 1600?
I think just the 4 even laps thing is just confusing for people to add more. And a lot of after being around high school for many years, people just start to assume that the 4 laps is the mile, which I mean, I'm not going to be the guy who's like, no, you're actually off by 9 meters. Right. And there's
Yeah.
so many lines for starting and so many things to screw up. I mean, we see it at the highest level that I think they just try to keep it simple. Um, is that right or good. I don't know, but I could see people just saying, let's just, you have 1 lap, you have 2 lap, you have 4 laps. Man, we're getting a lot of info here from Roadrunner. It says the start line was the same as the 1600, so the last straight was 109 meters for Fisher. Oh wow.
Oh, so Fisher
Yeah, I
just
mean,
kept on running? That's hilarious. So he
does anybody have I want to see the video of this.
that's awesome, kind of. That they're like, everyone still can only have to run a 1600, but only Fisher will just get that extra 9 meters. That's funny. That's kind of
And
cool.
you'd think with all the regulations and stuff around state meets that someone would have objected or have a problem or find something in the rule book. So the fact that they let them do this is that's pretty interesting. So like if you go to his mile spit profile, will you find 2 times from the Michigan State meet? Will you find 1600 and 1609? Because that would be,
For Fisher?
yeah, because that would be interesting. Okay, I'm looking at it now. 1600 meter Michigan State Championship. So 400 in the 16. I don't see it in the mile. I
Well,
guess he would have
click
been
on it.
what,
Maybe
40.
click on the result and see if maybe that is not a 1600 and it's actually a mile result, and we just all thought it was a 1600.
We all were fooled here. No, won by several seconds here. We're gonna have to do a full investigation. I just want to see the video of this. I think it'll be cool.
Trying to look at
And
other
David says
people in that. Yeah,
he's like, I'm
it's a
impressed they have
1600
109
on the
meters straight.
results.
Yeah, full
Michiana timing. They're saying it's a 1600, so I guess it was a 1600. Maybe the commentator is not telling the truth. Do you think about that? That could be a
no,
thing.
I believe all the commenters in there. No, he goes through 1600 at what does the time say? 404 flat, right? And then he's just saying he went on for 9 more meters. And then so
But we
he
just
ran
don't.
probably what 402. What is it about? It's about 1 to 2 seconds more for those 9 meters. So maybe
Oh, so
401 and
maybe the
change.
time wasn't fast, so they kind of like, I just pretend this never happened type thing. Let's not like tell
I don't
people
want.
Grant Fisher ran 402. I guess it's fun to
I
say
can't
Grant
believe
Fisher
you
ran
don't.
4 flat in the 1600.
This is 2015. This is when you were really paying attention. I can't believe you don't know this and you were locked in
Come
on
on,
everything Grant Fisher. No, I mean this is embarrassing that you don't know this. Is what I'm gonna say. Come on, Gordon. Uh, he
JoJo
promises
might
it's
know.
real.
She's in the other room. She might know because she was covering him at
Yeah,
this time. So I should ask her.
ask Joe. Yeah, and how has that not come up in any conversations between you guys? Okay, real
I don't
quick.
know.
Stumptown Twilight, and then 60 Seconds to Sixers. Um, you got women's 5K is going to be interesting because you have Bowerman folks in there who need a good performance going into trials. Frazier, Infeld, Hall, and Jorgensen. You also have Josh Kerr, maybe doing Josh Kerr things in the 1500 against that field. Centros in 800. So some things to look out for. There are some if you're wondering whether or not okay is this going to be the meet where you see Shelby Houlihan or Evan Jaeger as of this recording, the answer to that is no, they are not on the start list.
I'm sorry. I'm I'm reading an article on Grant Fisher of this shortened. There's the lengthened finish line. Um,
Oh, you
so
found
it
it.
did
Oh, we
happen.
found it. Okay.
It happened, and we've reported on it. Lincoln reported on it. So
Oh, which
Lincoln always coming
really?
in the clutch. Well, not
No,
Lincoln
Brandon
didn't report
Miles.
on it.
Brandon Miles did.
Lincoln,
Lincoln
Lincoln
posted the
posted Brandon
article.
Miles, but it's under Lincoln's. Yeah, so it was Brandon
Okay.
Miles and Miles split. So yeah. Anyway,
Shout out to Brandon Miles. Okay. Well, thank you, Rose Runner, for elevating this and bringing this to our attention.
maybe we'll get that for Hobbs. That'll be cool.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. That. But see, what is he? If Hobbs runs 359, are we like, oh my gosh? No, you're gonna save
Yeah,
a
it's a
few
thing.
seconds off your P. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not. It's not the same thing. So, but I do like this. I do like that they did this. That's pretty cool. Okay. Stumptown. Anything you're looking forward to seeing, or any person you're looking forward to seeing?
Yes. Former FloTrack employee and former
Oh
Oregon
yes.
Duck, Grant Grovesner. Bring up his Instagram,
Okay.
Travis, if you can. He's part of a great team. It's his track club is Dogecoin Track Club. He ran 147 in 2016 when he was in college.
Yeah,
And then he stopped running. And I remember talking to
completely.
him. Travis is gone. I remember talking to him when he was working at Flow, and he was like, "Yo, let me train to see if I can break 2 minutes in the 800." Like that was like his mindset. His mindset was like, maybe I could break 2 minutes again if I trained hard for like 6 months because he had stopped running.
Yeah.
But now he moved back to Arizona and he's been training legitimately, and he just ran a 149 in the 800. So the mindset of like, hey, could I ever break 2 again is now becoming, I'm running 149, which is so different from breaking 2. And now he's like, hey, I'm going to go to Stumptown one last time in Portland and try to run 147 and make the Olympic trials. So Grant Govsner, formerly of Oregon and formerly FloTrack employee and currently a friend of Gordon and team member of Dogecoin Track Club, is going at it. One last shot. Trying to run 147 at Stumptown. That's what I'm watching, is my friend trying to make his Olympic trials dream come true.
So, do you remember we were at the 2018 NCAA Indoor Championships in College Station? So this was
a
little more than 3 years ago. And after the first day of competition, we woke up the next morning and we decided we're all going to go for a run. And 4 people were on this run. Me, you, Grant, and JoJo. Okay. Do you remember who ran? One group of people ran probably 4 to 5 miles at 8-minute pace. The other group ran about 10 minutes total at slower than 8-minute pace. Do you remember who ran with who on that day?
I'm guessing you and JoJo ran the 5 miles, and me and Grant were like 10 minutes and done.
Yes. He was so out of shape. I did not believe him when he said just a couple years ago he was running that fast. You know, he was on that DMR team for Oregon, that
Yeah.
great DMR team for Oregon. We went to the meet and he walked past some Oregon coaches. They're like making fun of him because they called him Slim Shady because he had his hair. But it was a tough time, I think, for Grant. Like just a couple of years ago, he had been pretty legit. And I know it's been 3 years and you can get in good shape in 3 years, but he was, if we had an 800 that day, I mean, he would have beaten me because he could have summoned something out of it, but I don't think he would have broken 210. So to see where he is
No.
now is awesome. I was
Yeah.
I was fired up to see him on the list. I sent him a text. I said, "Is this real? Are you actually doing this?" And he's going for it.
Like
So shout out to Grant.
149, to get back into 149 shape, that requires
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's speed, man. Speed is hard to get back. And like
yes.
to get back to that speed, that's just like shows that there was some truly innate talent somewhere in his body that he was able to summon again. Because typically, if you want to get back in shape, it's like, hey, I want to run a decent 5K or a decent 10K or obviously go up to the marathon. But to go back down to the 800, running
Mhm.
149, hey, I mean, he's still young. He's in his 20s, so it's not like he's like a 50-year-old man doing it. But hey,
Yeah.
Dogecoin Trap Club, he's going to the moon. He's going to make the trials. He's going to run 147 flat. Let's do it. It's just 2
So
seconds. Second
NCAA
lap.
champion, former 2016 NCAA champion at the Crossplex. He handed the stick to Edward Cheserek. A lot of people say, "Oh, Cheserek's the reason they won that DMR." No, it was Grant. It was
Yeah,
Grant's leg
100%.
that did it for
He
him.
tells us it every day.
Uh,
Text it. It was me. No, I'm
no,
just kidding. He doesn't say that. We say that.
he says the complete opposite. I called him
Yeah.
NCAA champion. So yeah, Kerr in the 1500. We got Centro in Heat 2. I think that's just sharpening for Centro. I think he's feeling really good going into the trials. But yeah, I'm really interested in that women's 5,000 to see who emerges, and I'm keeping my eye on late ads. I'll just say that I haven't heard anything. I'm not reporting anything, but I'm keeping my eyes open, both of them, for some late ads. I'm now setting the
AKA
clock.
Shelby Houlihan
Or Evan Jager. Yes.
or Evan Jager.
Okay. I'm
Hey,
setting the
man.
clock here for
So,
60 seconds of Sixers. Hold on. You don't start until I say go. That's how this works because I don't want you
no.
going a second over. You have something
We don't need
non-Sixers?
to. No, yeah, well, I don't need to do the Sixers. It's fine.
Ready, set,
I'm
go.
still
You're
getting
on.
over the
Go.
I'm still giving I am very sad because Joel Embiid is hurt again, but for some reason, I just have this feeling that he's actually not hurt, and it's going to be okay, and life will be fine, and he'll show up on Sunday, dominate the Atlanta Hawks, and we sweep the Hawks in 4 with Embiid averaging 30 and 10, and then sit patiently and wait for the winner of the Bucks Brooklyn series. Who do you think's going to win, Brooklyn or Milwaukee? I'm using up my 60 seconds. I'm done. Bucks? In what? In how many games?
4. You got 20 seconds.
No, come on. That's not happening. What do you think's going to happen? Not what you want to happen.
16-0. 16-0. As a lifelong Bucks fan, I've waited my whole life.
I'm asking a legitimate question. Who do you think's going to win, Brooklyn or Milwaukee? That's a good question. Who do you think's going to win?
Bucks. Bucks, of course.
In 4? But you're saying in 4. That's not real. That's not going to happen.
3,
They're not going to sweep
2,
Okay.
1. Your time is up. Thank you for playing today. You were supposed to talk about him tearing his meniscus and talk about
I don't want to talk about it.
Meniscus tears. I tore my meniscus. Do you know what happened to me? I wasn't back in the NBA playoffs 2 weeks later. I was out for a long time. I did not pull a Grant. After that, my running career already bad, got even worse. I'd be very worried if I was you.
I just don't want to talk about it because it makes me sad.
I know. Okay, I'm sorry about that.
Come on, man.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to predict that's going to happen this weekend? Do you want to do one Gordon's guess on the track world this weekend?
I don't really have any guesses. So do you know what I'm going to be doing all week? I mean, it's Thursday now, but what I've been doing is I'm trying to come up with my new latest U.S. rankings because of what happened at Portland Track Festival, what's going to happen at the Stumptown, what's happened in Florida and different sprint meets and stuff like that. I'm trying to really formulate my almost final top 10, top 15 in the U.S. because things have changed since my last rankings, which were in May. So I think I'm waiting until basically end of Stumptown to kind of recalibrate my top 10, top 15 individuals in every event. And then it's probably only going to change based on what an NCAA college kid does because there won't be much running between now and the trials. So that's what I'm thinking about. I'm just thinking about my rankings.
So are you basically saying things are set from the distance perspective after this meet?
Yeah, I think so. So once I there's nothing else that's going to change, right? I mean, I don't think there's anything Hawker and Nagoose can do that's going to change our mind. We already kind of know where we see them. I think everyone else is going to be hunkered down, and just next time we'll see them is U.S. trials.
Well, we got another Diamond League before then, but I don't think that's.
Yeah, but already U.S. guys people doing it? Are people in the U.S.
well, that's what I'm saying. No. That's what I was. Yeah. That was my point. It's in Rome and it's next week. It would be a very quick turnaround. Same thing with those Continental Tour meets. Oh, I'm with you. I think this is it. Right? We talked about how quickly the turnaround was.
This is the resume
between NCAAs and USAs. All right, leave it there. FloTrackPodcast@gmail.com is the email address. Thank you, everybody, for watching live and commenting on YouTube. Oh, Rose Runner has a question. Will the 1,500 meter collegiate record go down at NCAAs? We can keep the music going. What do you think?
Yes, I think so. I actually do. I think because it kept saying.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm saying it. Yeah, I can see it go down. Yeah, and then everyone will tweet Hobbs ran faster. That's what everyone will tweet. So that's what's gonna happen.
We'll do a full preview on Monday of the NCAA meet, and then as Gordon mentioned, we'll have a busy week next week. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Enjoy your Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Thanks to Lon. Thanks to Travis. We'll talk to you next time.